PCOS, and the list, goes higher and higher. But we have a guest today, and she will be here to. We do have a question of the day, and we're asking you, how can stress and lack of sleep disrupt hormonal health? How do you think stress and lack of sleep can disrupt hormonal health? How do you think stress and lack of sleep can disrupt hormonal health? Please tell us your thoughts on the same. Our handles for X and Facebook are the same. That is at K24 TV, and our WhatsApp line is right there on your screens. Now, like I mentioned, my guest is in studio, and I'm happy to have her here once again. She is called Fatma Muhammad, and she is the founder of Wellness KE. Fatma, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I know, I'm happy you're here. I know it's not been the most amazing morning.
I know. Yeah, but we're here.
But you're
here. It's part of the hormonal imbalance, because the more you take time to rush and to get somewhere, your hormones are also upset. So it is life anyways.
But you look fabulous for that matter.
Thank you so much. You too, as always.
You too, darling. And I'm just happy you're here. We're able to discuss this matter and look into it.
Yeah.
Right. So let's begin. And highlight what exactly is hormonal imbalance, if you're to define it.
Okay, hormonal imbalance in simple terms just really describes the state in which your hormones are not in the right, let me just say they are not balanced, because in order for your body to function properly, your hormones need to be the right state of balance. So a very, very good example is, let's say, for instance, if a woman needs to have her period every month, she needs to go through some cyclical hormones, because there will be a certain phase where estrogen will take over so that you can grow the thick uterine lining. And then when you do not have when you do have sex, and maybe it is protected sex, it means you're not, you don't end up pregnant, then you will shed that uterine lining. So it started off with estrogen making it possible for you to even have that uterine lining grow thick, and then you shed it. But when you have estrogen, maybe higher amounts of estrogen, then you are going to lead to, it's going to lead to overproduction and also overgrowth of certain cells. So you may develop issues like fibroids or endometriosis, because the estrogen hormone is meant to grow and develop certain tissues and cells. So when you're in a state of hormonal imbalance, it just simply means that the hormones you're producing are either very high or very low. So it may be hyper or hypo. And every woman needs to understand the fact that a hormone is a very, very essential chemical in your body. It runs in your bloodstream, and anything that is in your bloodstream, it means it goes everywhere in your body, to your hair, to your brain, to your heart, to your lungs, to your reproductive organs. So when you're dealing with hormonal imbalance, understand that it may affect almost every area of your life. You may actually struggle with an imbalance of maybe very high estrogen. Then it goes and affects your brain, because estrogen is important for you to have cognitive function. So you find maybe issues like mommy brain. Yes, and even mommy brain when you're pregnant. It's not your fault. It's because at that time, estrogen is now taking over, and then progesterone goes and takes over even more, because it is a hormone that is known as the pregnancy hormone. It allows you to carry a pregnancy full term. So a very, very good example as a woman is, if you see a woman is struggling with not getting her period, or she's struggling with infertility, one of the major signs, that's one of the major signs, and one of the best ways to actually get a hold of that situation is to check for your progesterone levels, because as I said, it's a hormone known as, you can actually get a blood test at the hospital. Every hospital can actually run this test, but if you go to maybe, let's say, a local a general hospital like Kenyatta, they normally have these tests whereby they can check for estrogen, progesterone, thyroid hormone, and their blood tests. So they'll draw some blood, then they'll check the hormone. The price is between like about 1,000 to 1,500 to get that hormone test. But then again, it is a bit expensive. That is something I hear many women say, because each hormone, it means that you're going to have to check for progesterone, estrogen, thyroid hormone, and there's so many, because as women, we are affected by hormones in so many ways. We go through puberty, we go through our menstrual cycle, we go through pregnancy, we go through menopause. So that means as a woman, you are basically like a walking cash cow, because you might have issues during your puberty phase. And because of that, you might need to go and get your hormones checked. And during your reproductive years, which are your longest years, right? Because maybe you hit puberty at 14 and then you hit menopause at 55. In between all these years, you've been getting your period. You may struggle with issues like PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, or even hormonal imbalance, which is so common. So you will need to get these hormones checked at some point. And so it is unfortunate that hormonal imbalance affects women 9 times more than men. 9 times women are more likely to struggle with this. And it's because I think our hormones are more cyclical, and also at the same time we go through specific phases as women. We have to go through phases. You have to go through puberty, you have to get your period, you have to become pregnant if you choose to, and you also have to go through menopause. So you're more likely to struggle with the imbalance.
I see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cravings and the weight gain and the weight loss. Because you find that sometimes you crave either very salty foods or very sugary foods, and you're advised and told, listen, to balance your hormones, you need to eat healthy, have your greens, take a lot of water and everything. But when you're feeling the cravings, all of that goes out the window. I know. It doesn't matter. So just explain to us the science of that.
Oh yeah, there's actually a very interesting concept or study that has proven hormones are very powerful, because it's like when a woman is pregnant, she might actually decide specifically she wants a specific thing because it's going to almost satisfy her soul in a way. And then if you haven't gone through that, so you're not able to understand. But as I said, if a hormone is going to run through your bloodstream, it can go everywhere. It can even just convince you that this is the one thing that you need. But let's say, for instance, a woman who is about to have her period. The one day before your period, actually a few hours before your period starts, you get to go through a blood sugar spike. So it actually spikes the highest at that point. And that's why you might really feel like having chocolate. You might really feel like having something very sweet, So it's not necessarily your fault. It's because your body is telling you something else. The best way to counter that is to actually make sure that when you are eating, you eat for nutrition, but not for pleasure. Because when you eat for pleasure, we will always reach for the thing that tastes really good and, you know, like a snack, right?
But what kind of mindset would you need?
In order for you to do that? I know what you mean. Well, the fact is, the more you eat, let's say, for instance, cookies or chocolate or something that is not nutritive, unfortunately, it actually goes and disrupts your hormones even more. You'll notice that you'll have even crazier hunger pangs. Maybe you will feel bloated afterwards. Maybe you will feel nausea afterwards, because it didn't necessarily go to satisfy you, because the body will tell you something is wrong, like our blood sugar has spiked very high. And one of the easiest ways that works for me and works for all my clients, if you can combine a healthy fat and a sugar, a natural sugar, all the cravings will go away. A very good example, if you can have an apple with peanut butter, you will be surprised. Actually, that craving will go away. And that's what I had last night when I started feeling my sugar cravings. I usually make my own peanut butter and I have apples, or I can have a banana, because it will still satisfy you. Why? Because when you mix a healthy fat and a sugar, it actually means that the sugar is not going to spike very fast. Healthy fat has a way to slow down the process through which the sugar spikes when you eat a certain food that is sugary. And at that time, we have to understand, it's not because we need the sugary snack. We don't need it. It's just that our body is signaling us that the blood sugar is very high. It's so important for us to eat for nutrition as women, because if we don't do that, then the hormones will be upset. Then it's like a domino effect. You're actually going to get into your menses. Maybe let's say it was a day before your menses. When you now go through your menses, it will be heavier. It will be more painful. You might get headaches. You might be more fatigued. You feel extreme thirst. And all these are signs that your hormones are imbalanced, because when the hormones are imbalanced, your blood becomes very thick. It's hard for it to flow easily. So because it's hard to flow, your period is going to be heavier. You will have clots in your period. And if your blood is too thick, you will be more thirsty. You'll be more, you will be more fatigued, because also you are losing even more blood. And the low iron levels, more fatigue you have. you're more dizzy, you can't even go upstairs without feeling out of breath. It's because you're not eating for nutrition. And I know it's important for us to understand that as women, because we want to be able to reach for that snack and to reach for, it's okay, we are human, especially as we go into the festive season. Let's not forget things are going to get crazy, because everyone wants to, you know, it is our culture. Food is a way for us to express love and to show that I'm happy you're here, I want to give you this good food. But we have to understand that there will be a percentage whereby if you were to look at it as a pie chart, think of it as maybe 70 to 80%, you will try your best to eat for nutrition. Yes, once in a while you will reach for that snack here and there, but be smart about it, because you don't want to end up with health complications later on. You don't want to end up unwell just because you could not control. You actually have to get to a place where the hormones are not controlling you. You have to understand. Right now, even when I get my menses, if I get a headache, if I get pain, if I get any kind of feeling, I understand what's going on in my body. I'm not shocked. I know this is what I need to do. Maybe I have fluid retention. Let me eat more of a watermelon. I have a herbal tea, and that goes away. Yeah, so it's important for us to understand what's going on in our bodies. That way we make better decisions. Because as they say, when you know, you know. So,
exactly. And so what's also the signs of the weight gain and the weight loss? Because it can be now extremes. You're craving, we've established why that is happening. But now you get people who gain a lot of weight.
A lot, and it's
then
stubborn.
Yes.
You cannot even lose it. Yes. Because hormones are responsible for how much weight you carry and how much weight you lose. That's why as a woman, even as you start, maybe let's say you're embarking on a weight loss journey, you cannot just walk into a gym and be like, you know, a trainer is just telling you, lift these weights, do this, do that. And we get so many women at Wellness KE who come with that same problem. It's because I've gone through it myself. When after I had my fibroid surgery, I gained so much weight and I wanted to lose it because I didn't like how my body looked. And I went to the gym and they gave me so many heavy weights and I really got bulky. And it's the truth, because the hormones are actually encouraging you to store more fat. Good examples of hormones that make your body store more fat are like insulin and estrogen and cortisol. Insulin is a I know, that's why when someone goes through chronic stress for a very long time, you'll find that if maybe let's say they went through something shocking, maybe a divorce, maybe they lost a loved one, and they go through this phase, they might actually put on so much weight. It's because cortisol as a hormone encourages your body to store more fat. And when it encourages it to store more fat, you gain more weight. Another hormone is insulin. Insulin is very important to make sure that whenever you eat, after you've eaten, usually your blood sugar will spike, but insulin is supposed to come in to make sure you don't have too much sugar in your bloodstream, because that can lead to diabetes, right? So it comes in to make sure that the blood sugar lowers and it's at its correct state. Now, if you have maybe let's say a habit of eating large portions of food, larger than what you need, or you have a habit of eating foods that spike your blood sugar very fast, like cookies and cakes and, you know, a lot of refined sugars. Or if you eat and then, you know, you've eaten after 1 hour, you're eating again and again and again, you're going to be spiking your insulin levels all the time, and this will lead to more fat storage. That's why when you see athletes who want to lose weight and go maybe to perform somewhere, they actually have to go through either a fast, or they'll do some weight cut, or they will limit too much of, you know, eating all the time. They might reduce
like a strict regimen.
Yes, because they're trying to fit to a certain, you know, like a certain physique. But anyways, for us as women, we need to understand there will be hormones that are going to lead to more fat storage. So the three main ones are insulin, cortisol and estrogen, because these three hormones tell your body, literally tell your body, let's store fat. And it's the same thing even when someone is losing way too much weight. It means that these hormones are also in balance. As I mentioned, they may be very little. So that means it's way too low. And because they're low, then your body is not necessarily going to be at a healthy weight. So as always, we need to remember that hormones need to be balanced. Not low, not too high, just balance. That way you're not losing too much weight, or you're not putting on too much weight that is very stubborn for you to lose.
Okay, let's take a look at now, how do you know what kind of exercise to do? Because if you're in the gym and you're doing weights, I've done that before.
I know.
Like, there's a time I was not okay, and I felt like my hormones were all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I went and did weights.
I know.
I gained more.
I know.
I felt worse. I felt sicker.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so I ended up learning that I needed to do lighter, like what do you call them? The
low impact
workouts.
I know.
Using my own,
body weight.
Yes. And that
strength,
worked.
Conditioning, because it's so sad that there's so many of us who have gone through it. I've gone through it myself. And the problem comes about when people have not really understood, and I don't think it's their fault, they haven't really understood our bodies as women. These hormones are in our bloodstream. So no matter what I do, even if you give me 10 kgs, tell me push, 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 I still have something in my bloodstream that's still telling my body, store more fat. We need to fix, why do I have this hormone at such a high level that it's making me store more fat, that I need to come to this gym and lose it. I need to fix the root cause as opposed to trying to just fix a certain part of the body. Because when we fix the root cause, then that means we are not going to struggle with that issue ever again. So exercises that are going to be very helpful, exercises that are going to lead to more, for you to be more calm. As I mentioned, cortisol is a big hormone that's going to lead to fat storage. And exercise in itself is a form of stress, because when you are stressed is when you release cortisol. It is a stress hormone. But exercise in itself is you stressing your body so that you can make a muscle. You turn fat into a muscle. So because of that, we need to make sure that as women we are trying out exercises like yoga. And if you don't know, if you cannot pay for a yoga class, you can just go on YouTube and type yoga for beginners. Just watch the video until the end, whether it will be a 10-minute video. Once you're done, make some space in your living room and try it. Another very good way for you to work out is stretching, like deep stretching all the time. I prefer that. I do stretching in between my jump rope. I stretch for like about 15 minutes.
And hold on to that, Fatma. We need to take a short break.
Okay.
But we'll be back with this conversation. Do stay with us. Of course, more to know about hormonal imbalance. Stay with us.
Step into a world of emotions.